So today's going to be a bit of a short one, primarily because I needed to get off, not in that way, but to get off, to my mum's birthday. So yeah, the video's not that long, and yeah. Well, for the training segment, I only got pretty much squats, RDLs, leg extensions, and Bulgarians done until I had to literally go. So, oh well. But in other news, because I had to, go out for my mum's birthday, and it was good, spending time with my mum, But yeah, I definitely do, appreciate those things, because I do understand people don't always have the best, like upbringing and everything, and some people just don't have that, in them, and it's kind of sad though. But in my personal view, I haven't had the greatest parents in the world. I mean, I don't think anyone really has, but they're definitely better than a lot of them, and I know they love me, so that's at least something. But I can definitely say there's been some things, there that haven't been that great, but I do appreciate how they've changed, and and I can safely say I have good relationships with both my dad and mum. So yeah, I do understand a lot of people, tend to, reflect on their relationships with their parents and think sometimes it's not the greatest. But when it comes to that, and people, what I've seen some people do is blame some of their, antics on their parents, like, say if their parents did this, so-and-so, just ate a load of shit, and now they eat a load of shit, and they say they can't lose weight. You can't blame something that's within your control, because in my personal view, I could have become an angry, person, because due to family circumstances in the past, I could have become a violent, angry person. But did I? No, because I can keep that stuff under control, and I can choose my path. And that's what some people, I feel like, kind of have that delusion. They can't change, And what I'll say to this is, I've managed to change. I used to be, a closed off, insecure kid, skinny kid that didn't go outside at all. And now I go to the gym constantly, and, stuff like that. Granted, I'm not as, as social as I used to be, because in college you're basically forced to interact with people, which I kind of liked, there was at least an excuse there to speak to people. But now it's more like, now where I don't interact with many people, at most I probably interact with 5 people, and that's it, But at least it's 5 people and not 0. And now on to the arguments of people saying, oh, my parents did this, my parents did that. That means I can't really change. It's just an excuse at the end of the day, in my personal opinion, because I'll say this, my mum is probably the thing that's kept me here, kept me grounded, and kept me mentally here and not, off a cliff or something. Granted, she could have been like her parents and not really care, because that's what my mum's, background was. It definitely wasn't the greatest. Like, if you think you've had a bad childhood, my mum's had a lot, like, yeah, that kind of scale. And my mum could have easily been abusive towards me, but she chose to be nice. She chose to be my mum instead of just an abusive person. that so happens to be related to me. And I'm really appreciative of that, because yet again, people say they're a certain way when they can always change. Like, all these people who get out of prison and stuff do change. A lot of them do change. But some of them don't change because they have this fixed mindset of just being like, oh, I'm this, I'm that, you know. And when people have that fixed mindset and they're not willing to change, then you're kind of stuck in a hole that you made yourself. Like, you've dug yourself a grave and you sat in it. Like, I know a couple people that are not willing to change for anything. And they're going to forever be stuck in that hole. And it sucks. Because forever blaming someone for your own, you know, circumstances, and, you know, thinking you're stuck in that hole and having that fixed mindset is just going to keep you there. By having a more, you know, free mindset and believing, I wasn't given the best circumstances in the world, but I will change for the better. But that's what people sometimes don't believe in themselves. You need to believe in yourself. Like, when I went for 220, literally 1.5 years ago, right? So at this point, I've been lifting 1 year and 1 month, right? 220 kilos squat. Granted, not best form in the world, but I got parallel like that. I didn't go below, but I went parallel. And did I believe I could not do it? No. I went in there thinking, if I get it, I get it. You know, I had no expectations of it. And I managed to fucking do it on some random, you know, December afternoon. Like, that's the thing. You need to believe in yourself. You need to think, you know, before you act. Because I could always say, I'm forever going to be alone. I'm forever, you know, going to stay in this box of, you know, I'm forever going to be a fucking loser. But I don't believe that, actually. You know, I believe I'll get somewhere in life. You know, I thoroughly believe that, because I won't stop until I've achieved that. You know, I won't stop until I've got what I want. Now, when it comes to, you know, relationships with other people, I'm not too bothered, because at this point in my life, I don't really care. But I know down the line, I will care. Like when I'm approaching 30, I'll probably care. But when it comes to my life goals, I want something, you know, and I believe I'll achieve that. Because even if something fails, I know in myself I'll be okay, and I will push forward still. Like, it's that mindset that sets you apart from all these people. Like, if you're watching this and you honestly believe you got shit genetics, you got the most rubbish genetics, why is that? Is it because your arms aren't growing? Is it because, you know, people say you have a, you know, shit physique or something? Like, people chat shit about my forearms, and my forearms aren't exactly tiny, you know. That's the thing. It's all about angles with that. And, you know, people like to chat shit and everything, but that's just them projecting. You think they'll say shit because, you know, they're feeling okay. No. Like, I can't really talk about that, but, you know, but I will. But, you know, I have an ex now. So like 4 months ago, I can't remember, she said stuff about me, you know, saying that I wasn't good for her, you know, blah, 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 biggest regret, more private stuff, you know, saying shit. And did she say that because she was happy? No, she said that because she was upset. And yeah, people say shit. And that's not you. You need to believe in yourself. You are not that. Because I don't believe in the shit she said. I honestly don't believe. I just have zero respect for her now. Because she just had an emotional outburst. But when it comes down to it, the belief you have, believe in God, believe in whatever the fuck you want. But that belief, you are going to prove to yourself that you're worth it. Because I know a lot of people with insecurities don't believe they're worth it. And they try and look outside themselves. Say, if this person validates me today, I'm worth it. It's like all these OF chicks. They don't have people. They probably didn't have a good father figure to validate them in who they are. You know, give them like some sort of love. And even men, you know, like probably their mother, you know, mother or father didn't validate them when they were younger. You know, some of these guys that, you know, constantly post their, you know, physiques and shit. You know, I just post my, you know, physique as like a funny joke, really, and stuff like that. Because I know deep in myself I'm, you know, worth living, you know. But most of these people are looking for that validation. And it's kind of sad. Because they don't have that belief in themselves. They may say they have that belief in themselves, but they don't. Like, I remember when I used to look outside myself for that validation. You know, when I didn't have that stuff coming in and people constantly telling me I'm an ugly twat, you know, stuff like that. I used to look outside myself for, you know, that validation that I'm worth something. And now people still chat shit saying I'm ugly, you know, that I've got zero muscle on me, get some more, you know. I don't care, I'm mostly bigger than these guys, you know. And with the ugly thing, I'm not really bothered because I can't really change my facial structure. I don't really give a shit about getting, you know, facial plastic surgery. All I can do is what, you know, anyone can do, and that's just like and try and improve my skin, which I've been able to do. I no longer have acne. You know, I keep my beard well trimmed, you know. I do all these things for myself. I don't do it for any validation because I want to look in the mirror and think, oh shit, I've got like loads of spots in here, Pop. I really hate my, you know, beard or whatever. I do it all for myself because I want to look in the mirror and think, yeah, cool. I look at least somewhat decent, you know. Never do it for someone else. And that's what I've learned through a long time of trying to find that in other people. You know, people to say, oh, you have a good physique. You have a, you know, you look so fit, you know, that kind of shit. It's a bunch of rubbish at the end of the day. Because some people, they're a bit bipolar, so. But anyway, less of my rant. We'll be going on to leg day, which is, it's alright, you know. But I'll explain what I'm doing. I'll explain why I'm doing it, you know. If you want to stick around for that bit, you more than likely, you know, be able to listen to me speak and, you know, just go through why I do things and everything. But also, thank you for watching. Really do appreciate it. And we'll go on to leg day. Now on to some pause squats, starting off with 160 yet again. Not going too hard this week, primarily because I got 210 hopefully on Monday, so gonna try and avoid, you know, going over the top. So overall squats felt okay. It's just like a bit of, you know, what's it called, tension in my hip, but yet again, hopefully that isn't, you know, anything to worry about. And yeah, I can squat mostly freely, and yeah, 147.5. Yes, I am a bit of a nerd for using these small plates, but I just used them primarily because, I'm trying to get that form down. And as you can see, I've I've, ba- I've basically got the form down now, and I'm just trying to get more comfortable in that paused position. And I'll say this: it isn't the most comfortable position you can be in, but yet again, it's what makes me stronger. So I will accept it for now. But overall, squats went okay, and yeah, nothing really to complain about when it comes to squats. But now we're on to some, RDLs, just purely for strength. And yeah, um, these went pretty well considering it's 160, but still not really ready for the jump to 180, which would have been, quite impressive for myself. So yeah, but one day I'll have that and in the bag, and yeah, and hopefully my deadlift will, you know, correspond with that response. Uh, but yeah, um, solid for most of the time, and yeah. Now doing some leg extensions. This was just because it was freely available, and I was waiting to do Bulgarians. But unfortunately, as many people have experienced, is of course the high school kids, they just take over everything, and I wanted a bench to do my Bulgarians on, but they were hogging, so I just did some extensions while I waited, and yeah, surely made the Bulgarians feel a lot harder and everything. So, but by doing a single leg, I can at least focus on each quad at a time, because this is just how I like it. But also, I don't really give a shit about maxing out the machine because I know I can max it out. Goes up to like 80 kilos, which isn't the like highest I've ever been to on a leg extension, but it's the only one in the gym, so I have to make up for that. And by doing single leg, I just feel it's so much more. And I have like the seat a bit further back than what most people would. So like that, you know, I can't remember what muscle it's called, rectus femoris or something. Gets more stretch, and it improves the quad because it's in more of a stretch position. Because just like your ex, you need to stretch it out. Don't know how that would correlate, but unlike you, whatever. But anyway, less of my waffling. But overall, I'm doing like a drop set thing here, so I did like 4 sets, unless it's not showing. But yeah, I was on show 3. Okay, so it only shows 3, but I did like 4, just dropped the weight and everything, adding to more intensity. But on to some Bulgarians, everyone's favourite. I can tell everyone just went silent. But these were pretty good. Quite happy with them, honestly. I mean, from when I used to, just be able to only just get some, reps in because my balance was completely off. And now I can do some with relative ease, I've come a long way in Bulgarians. But there's still work needed to be done. I am still a bit wobbly when it comes to Bulgarian split squats, and it's purely for, strength, balance, and, it also helps with my hip because I had a hip injury doing 210 for 2, oddly enough, which is coming up, really. So hopefully, I get that, as well as, you know, it just helps with stretching the hip flexor, which was the problem. And yeah, because when it comes to strength, I tend to go up very, very fast, very, like insanely fast. I tend to get a bit ahead of myself. And yeah, I'm trying not to do that again. And that's you know, that was my slap on the wrist for being a bit too eager with my lifts. But now I've mainly recovered. I can safely say I don't have pain while walking around anymore. So I'm all good, shall we say. And yeah, hopefully get that 210 up, bit of revenge for myself. And yeah, we can hopefully see that on Monday. And yeah, I'll be very happy if I get it. But if I don't get it, I'll probably do 207.5. Even that will be like a depth PR, shall we say. But anyway, thanks for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next chapter, or next, episode of my lifting. But thank you very much. Please like and subscribe. And goodbye.